Okay, buddy. Welcome to Grue, and thank you so much for taking time out of your day and coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Of course, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you, bud. Thank you. And just to, before we start, like I see, like your name, like you have curse in your name. So, what did curse come from? Like, how did you get the name of Ethan, Carlos, Cameron, and also curse?
Yeah, sure. Well, Ethan Cameron is my name. That's the name I used all up until COVID, actually, until
Hmm.
2020. And Carlos is my middle name. And so I was about to go off to college. I was about to move to LA. And so I was like, I'm bored of my name. I want to go by a different name. And so I started going by my middle name, which is Carlos. And so most people call me Carlos. And then Curse came about through school. I went to school for musical theater. I went to AMDA in Hollywood. And so part of the courses you take is creating this artist name. And that could be your own name, that could be not your name at all. And so I wanted to do something that would evoke, um, all the sort of inspirations that I have and the things that I like and what my music um, sounds like in a name. I wanted to figure out what that would be. And so I went with curse because I don't know, it's just kind of fun. Like you can curse someone with your music. And so, yeah, I go by curse.
Oh, I love it. Uh, Does it have anything? Because I saw you do tricks too, like magic and all that stuff. Like, was it something to do with that?
No, I don't do magic, but that would be fun
Oh,
to
I saw
learn.
you were doing like some kind of show. It said curse like live
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
something.
yeah.
So I thought it was like a magic show, wasn't?
That would be cool. It wasn't though. Yeah, Curse Live and Death was a show I did last year. That was a show that I put together pretty much all myself. I just decided that if I wasn't going to get the opportunities coming my way of performing, I was just going to make one. And so I booked the venue. I planned everything. All of the openers for my show were my friends that I went to school with. And so they all sang songs, and yeah, it was a show of all original music that I wrote myself that I did
Oh
last year.
wow!
Yeah.
Excuse me, my allergies are acting up there.
No,
So
you're good.
if I sneeze while you're talking, I apologize.
No,
I'm
you're
I'm
good.
I'm I'm trying to keep like the sneezes in, but yeah. Every when it gets warm, when it gets hot, like my allergies start acting up for like the first couple weeks
Oh God,
of
yeah, I'm sure.
summer, and it's torture. So, what drew you to want to act? Like, when did you start getting involved with acting, with doing plays? And I see you do short films too.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've always been a theatrical person. I've always been very gay, very flamboyant, very into, I don't know, acting not myself. There's lots of pictures of me as a kid in all sorts of different costumes, wearing wigs. I loved wearing wigs. Uh, and so I've always just, I don't know, been sort of not larger than life, but larger than life, I want to say, in that respect. But I didn't start actually acting until later in high school. I never joined theater because theater kids always weirded me out. They were very scary. Um, Bless you.
Thank you. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. But yeah, the first show that I did in high school was Little Shop of Horrors. I played Seymour, and that was my first kind of exposure to musical theater as a whole. And bless you.
I apologize. It's the
Oh, you're good.
allergies.
And so uh, that was really fun, and I got to control the puppet for Audrey too, and do a nice little number with that. And then from there, it sort of spiraled. And I didn't plan on going to school for musical theater, but when COVID happened, it sort of uprooted all of the plans that I had, and so I just pivoted like a complete 180 or a complete, yeah, a 180, not a 360. That's all the way. Um, and went to musical theater school. And from there, I've just met a lot of people and started acting more, and I love it.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me again.
No, you're good.
Oh man, I think it's because I have my window open. Let me close my window a little bit.
I'll do it.
Oh, yeah, that's when the pollen comes in and all that crap. So I
Oh
just
God,
closed my
yeah.
window.
That's why I don't go outside ever.
And you also do some modeling too. That was how I first discovered you, seeing your amazing photo shoot for all the dead dead boys, and you look amazing in those photos. And
Thank you.
so how did that all come about? Like getting to do such a horror amazing photo shoot like all the dead boys.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I found it because horror is like my favorite thing in the world.
Mine too.
Yeah, I love like meeting people who love horror like that. And I love modeling and I love pretty boys. And so I started following Carter probably a year and a half ago, if not 2 years. It was his one of his older accounts. Um, and then I had been following him for a while and really thought that I could be a model for that because it's like the perfect intersection of the things I love. Um, so it really started with me just being persistent and annoying and emailing him because he has an email list. If you don't know,
Well,
but if
yeah.
people out there don't know, Dirty Little Fridays, you can sign up for it. But so I was signed up for the emails. I was getting the emails, and then every once in a while he would say like, "P.S. If you or anyone you know would make a good dead boy, reply to this email." And so I was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna do it." And this was back probably in March or April last year, the first time I emailed him. And then it just never ended up happening. He's a very busy person,
Oh
and
yeah.
does a lot of cool stuff. And I was doing a show at that time, and then I was working horror nights that year, and so it just never worked out. Um, but then this year, I was like, I'm going to try again. And so in January, I emailed him again, and he happened to be coming back to LA super soon. And so we worked together, and we've worked together 3 times since then.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, we have a lot more stuff coming your way.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. And like how's it like at first, like when you're doing a photo shoot like that? First you're covered in blood and you're also naked, and
Hmm.
like how does that like how do you get used to that? Like showing like your friends and family are probably gonna see it and stuff.
Yeah,
So like where there what's the thoughts you have when you're like, all right, I'm I'm gonna do this. I don't care what anyone thinks. Like I'm gonna be naked in the shoot. I'm gonna be covered in blood. Like what are your what what's your thoughts when you're doing something like that?
sure. I mean, I've always been the type of person who's not really shy about my body. I mean, I have had and still have body issues. Everybody does. It's a universal thing.
Yeah.
But I've always been comfortable with myself. I've always appreciated the way I look, and I've also wanted to be covered in blood and dirty and all that stuff because like as an actor and especially an actor who does horror and wants to do more horror, that's like what I strive for. I love
Oh, definitely.
feeling it. Like I feel like horror is such a unique experience in that a lot of it there's no acting required because you are covered in blood and you are like dirty and maybe terrified of being this in this situation. But it was so much fun, and I don't really worry about people seeing it because I look great in them, so why would I
Yes, you
care to?
definitely do.
And there's also the separation of the more explicit stuff ends up either on Twitter or Patreon or
Yeah.
whatever. And then Instagram and other places have the safer work ones, and so it's yeah. That's a good
Yeah,
separation
like
too.
Twitter, you could show that kind of you can show like nude work on Twitter, but on Instagram you could get banned for that.
Yeah, yeah, it's yeah.
I I
I
know
also
it's weird.
I feel like everybody when they're young and they feel, you know, I'm sure not everyone feels good about themselves too often. I know I don't, but um, I think everybody should do a nude shoot, like, and not even post it. Just keep it for yourself because
Yeah,
you're gonna wanna look back at a time when you were young and maybe reminisce about it. But that's just me.
nah, that sounds really good. I like that. And and now you're you're in a current play, all American tragedy, and Peanut John. I think that's your character, right? So, what? Who is Pete? Like, I never heard of the play. So,
Mhm.
Tay, tell me like a little bit about like what the play is and who Peanut John is. I love that name.
Yeah, yeah, I'd love to. Our American Tragedy, it's a original play. It's written by my friends Matt, Angelique, and Nick.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, I did a show for Hollywood Fringe with them last year. I was just sort of a helping hand or like a crew, if you will. I wasn't in their show, but I was there pretty much every day with them helping out during the actual run. But they offered me this role this year in a show they had written, and it's a true story. It's a historical drama. Originally, they wanted it to be a comedy, but with the more research they did, they realized that they really wanted to pay respect to these people who are all real. Everybody in the play is a real person. Peanut John is real. And the play itself is centered around the night that Abraham Lincoln was assassinated at the Ford Theater. And so,
Oh,
yeah, everybody knows what happened. That is, the tragedy. But not everyone knows what happened behind the scenes during the show that he was watching when he died. And so that is what our show is about. It takes the focus and puts it onto the actors who have to deal with this tragedy that like completely uproots all of their lives. And it's really interesting. And we open on June 8th. We'll be at the McCadden Theater, I believe in Hollywood, and we run from June 8th until the 29th, I think. But yeah, we have 5 shows throughout June. So if anyone is in LA, come through.
oh my God, yeah. I wish I lived there, or else I would definitely come and see it.
Yeah, it's a great show. I'm super.
I'm I'm in Philly, and it's quite a hike, Philly to California.
Yeah.
And another recent thing I see you're gonna do. What's that Daddy's Day about?
Yes. So Daddy's Day is an event that my friend Emilio is putting together. He does Bear Garden Party, which is an event for bears, which is great because Pride Month. Um, but yeah, that's on the 16th. It's just a celebration of, being gay and being a daddy and being bears and all of that good stuff. But yeah, I, along with a couple other artists, get to have a set during that night, and so I'm singing some original
Nice.
music. Yeah.
So you love singing. I mean, being in the theater work, like you have to know how to sing and dance and act.
Mhm.
And so is there like a certain song you love singing the most?
Ooh, well, let's see. Out of my original stuff, my favorite song that I've ever written is a song called Tall Man in a Trench Coat. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah, for me, it's about addiction, several different types of it. Um,
Oh,
but for other people, it can mean other things. But I don't love it because of what I wrote it about, but I wrote it because it just kind of slaps. Like I think it's the best song that I've ever written, and it's a bit of like a pop rock song.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
it's got a nice little guitar that I just sort of stole from Apple Loops and just sang over it. But yeah, I love that song. But non-original, I love busting out Black Velvet by Alana Miles at karaoke.
Yeah, that's
I
a good
love
song.
that song.
Oh
It's
my God, that's a really great song.
yeah.
So you write your your own songs, like you put them out too and everything.
Yeah, I actually have two full-length albums out currently. They're on Spotify, they're on Apple Music, Amazon, wherever people listen to music. But it's under the name Curse. That's my
Oh,
artist. Curse, all uppercase. And my first album was called Fresh Blood, and I released that
I
around
love it.
Halloween. That was in 2022. And so each song was inspired by a different sort of horror story or a different scenario or movie. Yeah, and so that's where Tall Man in a Trench Coat is. And then my second album was in March 2023, and that was my more pop song or pop centric album. And there's a lot of fun stuff on that one too. But my next album is also going to be completely different because I sort of want each album to represent my different kind of influences.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I don't ever want to just keep doing the same thing because as an artist, that's so boring. It just is like I don't want to just do the same thing over and over. And it's also, I'm so inspired by people like Lady Gaga who just constantly, excuse me, reinvents herself
Yeah.
for all her different eras. And so my first album was really inspired by horror movies and people I love like Rob Zombie and Poppy. Like those were sort of the musical
Nice.
influences. And
Nice.
then the second album was sort of like early Madonna and Dua Lipa. Of course, it's nowhere as good as that, but those are the sort of influences I'm taking from.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that, especially the horror stuff.
Yeah, that's my favorite stuff. My next album is inspired by a specific story that yeah is going to be very fun. It's going to be a little Phantom of the Opera inspired.
Ooh, okay, nice. And what made you fall in love with the horror world? Like, what was like the first horror film you watched that you sat there and be like, "Oh my God, I love this."
Well, I grew up on the Universal monster movies. Those were like my first exposure. I watched them all with my grandpa. Shout out to my grandpa. I love him. But he showed me all the early stuff, the 50s stuff, the 60s stuff, especially the horror sci-fi stuff. Um, so one of my like big obsessions to this day is Creature from the Black Lagoon. That's like
Oh
my
yeah.
favorite horror movie. But I also grew up with like Godzilla and them and like the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms and
Oh my
all
God,
that
dude, those are
stuff.
classics. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that sort of started that journey. And my grandpa talks about it sometimes in that he was never really into the horror. He liked the more sci-fi stuff. And so it was funny to him that, I went the sort of horror route, whereas he went the sci-fi route, and they both kind of intersect. But yeah, and then some of the first like R-rated stuff I saw were Jaws, which absolutely terrified me as a child. To this day, I still cannot swim in the ocean. Like I refuse to.
Oh no.
So terrified not only of sharks, but of just the ocean in general. It's like so scary to me. And then I also remember watching Alien really early on.
Yes.
And that
Yes.
one has also stuck in my brain. I love that franchise.
Oh man, you're mentioning some amazing films, and I saw like you collect a lot of horror films too. I saw like your posts, like you buy like a lot of videos, and one of them is is like a rare horror film that a lot of people don't even know about or think about. Burnt Offerings of Karen Black.
Yes, I've still that's one of the ones in my collection that I still have not seen.
Oh my god, you're gonna love it. It's
Yeah,
so
I got
good. It's really creepy. It is.
yeah, I've heard really good things about it.
Yeah, you'll if you love horror as much as you do, you'll definitely love it.
I'm excited. Yeah,
And
I love physical media. It's so comforting.
of course, like Karen Black, for the newer fans, like they know her in House of a Thousand Corpses.
Mhm. Another bona fide classic to me.
Oh yeah, that definitely, definitely. So like, what are some of your like favorite horror films? Like a horror film you could watch like over and over and not get tired of it.
Well, I mean, the immediate answer to me is Scream. I love Scream. I will always.
Ooh, I
Um,
like that too.
yeah. But yeah, Scream, Creature from the Black Lagoon, I've seen so many times. Creature from the Black Lagoon, I've probably seen at least 60 times. Like, it's so good. Um, but like answers that don't get said quite as often. I really like The Descent.
Yes,
I've seen that one quite a few times. I love that
yes.
movie. I really love. I just rewatched the movie Splinter again from
Oh
2008.
yes, I remember. Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
good
definitely. Yeah,
I really like creature movies and monster movies. I love a good creature feature. The 80s remake of The Blob is another good one. Uh,
definitely.
I love some gooey practical effects. Everybody does, but
And you are starring in a bunch of horror shorts. Like I see something recent. Like you went from plays to films now,
mhm.
and yeah, you got like some horror shorts that are being made that are going to be released soon. And I saw like some of them is called like the first Kill Us If You Can and How, like they're like your three horror shorts that are coming out. But the one you're currently in that's out, Fragmentation, and tell me about playing Carson in this movie and how the whole horror short experience was like for you.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, Fragmentation with Vic was really fun. Vic is the director and creator. Yeah, it was there's one main short that's on YouTube, and then we created a bunch of little short teasers for it.
Oh, nice.
And so that was really cool. We just had um yeah, I don't think it was a 12-hour day. But it was a pretty long day where we stayed into the night and just made all these little shorts back to back, which was just so much fun. Um, and with a short like that really is a short,
Yeah,
um, it's interesting because you still do have to do, all the character work to make it believable and um, deep and have some layers to it. Um, but yeah, that was like a day of my life that was really fun. Um, and we had, I think, one day where we read through everything, and then one day where me and the other cast member is she's the best. She's so nice. We just talked about our characters and read through the script, and it was like any other film where you do all that work, and it was really fun. Yeah, but the first is my big one. We had a little like rap party.
oh,
Um,
sweet.
yeah, where we watched it, and there were a few horror like icons that were in attendance, which was like very
Really?
yeah. We had the first person I saw when I walked into the venue was Barbara Crampton,
Oh my
and
god.
I about like shit my pants. So
I would do the same thing.
yeah, so I was too terrified to say hi to her. I mean, she's like, I don't know, because she's like, she's iconic.
Yes.
Especially now, she's just gotten even more iconic. Yeah, and Brian Usna was there, the director of Society, which, if people love practical effects, I'm sure they've seen that movie. Um, but yeah, he's also in the film briefly, and so we got to have a scene together, and so it's really cool for me to have that immortalized on film, me and Brian Usna in a movie together. Like that's so cool.
Oh my
Um,
God, yes.
yeah, but it was great, and yeah, we got chosen to be in Portland Horror Fest, which is coming up in June. I will not be there because I have my
Okay.
show, obviously. But they're actually also streaming it. So you can buy sort of like a virtual ticket and for whatever day or either the whole festival, and they can see it that way. Yeah.
Awesome. Nice. And we are in Pride Month, and when did when did when when did you come come out to like friends and your parents and stuff?
I feel like I always knew. It was never really a question for me. There was maybe like a little time in middle school where I was questioning it a little bit because I
Yeah.
obviously didn't know what that meant yet. But I knew that it applied to me, if that made make sense.
Oh
And
yeah, no, it definitely
yeah,
does.
I was in sixth grade when I actually came out officially, because I was, sort of like dating a girl in the way you do when you're in sixth grade. You're like dating, you're not really dating. You like hang out at recess, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like text each other every once in a while. But I was dating this girl, um, and uh, she's the nicest ever, by the way. We're still in contact on like Facebook.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, but there was this other guy in my class, and I was like, he's really cute. Like, I'm obsessed with him. And so I started to realize, oh, I kind of like him more than I like this girl. Uh-oh. And so I like broke up with her over text and literally told her, I was like, I'm gay. We can't date anymore. And so yeah, and then I was so terrified to tell my mom, but she's like my biggest supporter ever. So is my
Oh,
dad,
good.
my grandpa. I'm really lucky that most of my close family is really accepting, and I've brought my boyfriend home to them several times. We just went up in May for my birthday, and so we were there for a week, and then back in August we were up there for a wedding. But yeah, you know, it's not easy because the state of the world and the context we live in right now does not make it easy to be gay or a minority of any sort.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I have people in my life that do make it easier, and so it's been great. And pride is still important.
It definitely is. Yes. And there's like a lot of people like that are gay, but they're scared to say that they are because of they could have parents that are real strict or Catholic or Christian, and if you have family that's die die hard Christians or die hard Catholics, they don't believe in being gay, and it's hard for some people to come out and tell them that because they're scared on how they're going to react to it. And what advice would you give to any person that knows what 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 they are, but are afraid to tell the people that they love the most?
Hmm. Man, I mean, I would say firstly, if you're someone young who like you can't tell your parents, um, but you're getting to the age where maybe it's time for you to move out or move cities even, do it.
Yeah.
I think that's such a good way for people to find themselves, and to explore without the pressure of being under their parents' roof and feeling like they have to hide that.
Hmm.
Um, I like when I moved to LA, I mean, I was, I had already come out and blah, 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 but coming out
Yeah.
to LA was such a cool experience because I'm from a tiny town in Washington State.
Oh, okay.
And so Washington is interesting because there are a lot of people who really support gay people, non-binary people, all sorts of things. And then there are people who vehemently despise it and think it's
Oh,
disgusting.
wow.
Yeah, I mean there are everywhere, but
Yeah,
they're
true.
more concentrated because it's such a small town. But moving to LA was fun because I met so many more types of people. I mean, in Washington, also, it's a lot of white people,
Yeah, yeah.
especially in my town. So coming here, it's like seeing people of all different colors and like shapes and sizes and, all sorts of gender identities. And that really helped me explore my gender identity. I do identify as cis. Um, I am a man, I'm male. But you know, you meet these people who introduce you to ideas that maybe you've never even really thought about before. And I
Uh,
think that's also really important and really important for not just gay people who are looking to explore their identities, but um, straight people and everyone else. I think it's important to explore and open your mind because a lot of hate comes from not understanding things.
exactly.
It,
Exactly.
comes from the ignorance. And so I think if people just, were more open to meeting different people, I think there would be a lot less hate in the world.
A 100%. Like I couldn't have said it better. Like that. That's right on the money. 100%. Yes. And when you're not filming or doing stage work or modeling, what do you like doing during your free time?
Sure. I love hanging out with my boyfriend. That's my favorite thing to do in the world. I'm so obsessed with him. I really like drawing. That's one of the things that I don't really like put out there because, as an artist, you sometimes feel like you have to share everything. But it's okay to not, and I think it's healthy to not. So there's a
Hmm.
lot of things, I do in my free time that I don't put on the internet. Drawing is one of them because it's just very calming to me and it's not something that I want to monetize or anything. I really love reading comic books. I read them every day. I love
Nice.
Harley Quinn. She's my favorite character. That's gonna be my next tattoo. I'm gonna get some little Harley Quinn diamonds on my leg.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, but I love comic books. I love drawing. Watching all sorts of horror movies. I keep like a list of every horror movie that I've seen. I'm two away from hitting 900, which I'm very excited about.
900 horror films you watch?
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Whoa.
And there's like, I don't know, there's pressure to like pick a good one for 900 to watch because I don't want to be like, ooh, 900 and then be disappointed. Um, but yeah, and we just got some plants and just planted some plants. So we're starting our plant parent journey, which we'll see how that
Okay.
goes. Because I don't know if I can keep a plant alive, but we'll see. Um, but yeah, all sorts of things. I love going out in nature every once in a while. I love going to conventions. I'm going to Monster Palooza today, so I'm very excited about that.
Ooh,
Yeah,
nice. I think when you reach your 1000th horror film, you should throw some kind of big party and film it and stuff.
I think so. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, because that's like an iconic num number, like your 1000th episode or your 1000th movie, and that's
Yes,
like
for sure.
that's something that deserves to be celebrated.
Yeah, I remember when I got to 666, that was really fun too. Um, I watched the French film Martyrs for 666.
That was a gory
Um,
film, yes.
yeah, yeah, and then I loved that movie when I watched it.
It was so good.
It's a rough watch, but it's really good.
It was.
So that's one of the ones that I'm very proud that I hunted it down on physical media and I own it. That was
I
great.
love it.
Yeah.
Man, I haven't watched that in a long time. I think it's about time to watch it again.
Yeah. I've been feeling the sort of French extremity vibe lately.
Oh yeah, like that high tension, like the
Yeah.
oh my god, like those are
Inside.
classics.
Yeah.
Sweet, sweet. And who's on your playlist? Like, what kind of music are you listening to?
Let's see. Let's see. Well, lately I've been obsessed with Slater. Do you know Slater?
Yeah.
I love her. It's really weird because I worked at Halloween Horror Nights last year from September to October. And so her new album came out in October while I was working that.
Oh,
Maybe it was late September or October, I can't remember. But so that album is just associated with that time in my life and I haven't let it go yet. Um, and I remember it came out, and I was on one of my breaks between sets, like scaring people. And I just put my headphones on, and I was just listening to Slater during my break, and it was the best time ever. So Slater, her new album, is so good. Besides that, Dorian Electra's newer album, Fanfare, I really like. I always listen to some Kim Petras. All the sort of like I like a good electro pop with a little like EDM infused in there. But
okay.
I've always loved Gaga. I go back to Rob Zombie all the time when I need something a little heavier. I
Yes,
love I
definitely.
love Ghost so much. Um, yeah, all Poppy. Yeah.
Okay. And I know you love horror. Like, did you ever listen or see a live concert of Alice Cooper?
No, I have not.
Oh my
I
god.
thought about getting tickets to Freaks on Parade with Rob Zombie and Alice
Yeah,
Cooper, but they're so expensive and it was nowhere near me, so I didn't end up seeing it. But I would love to.
yeah. Alice Cooper. I probably saw him like 5 or 6 times already,
Really?
and oh my god, like his stage show is incredible for a horror fan. I mean,
Hmm.
he has everything on stage, and when it's like watching a live horror film with music.
Yeah, that sounds epic.
Yeah,
I
like
would
he.
I would love to see Ice Nine Kills live too.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I never saw them live either, but I love their music and their videos. Oh my
Mhm.
god, yes, that
Okay.
definitely, definitely. That would be like a good concert, like Alice Cooper, Rob Zombie, and them.
That would
Like
be sick.
all like horror elements in on
Yeah.
stage.
Yeah, I love that.
And you're big into comic books. You said, who's your favorite superhero and villain?
Hmm. Um, I always read a lot of Harley Quinn. Um, what have I just been reading? Oh, I've been reading through Immortal Hulk. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I think that started in like 2018, but I just picked up the last two volumes of it. So I'm about to finish that. I really like that series because it's got a lot of horror and like body horror influences in it, which has been really fun.
Nice.
The way that they transform the Hulk is very different and very gruesome in this series. And I really like it. And there's a lot of cool monsters and villains. Um, what else have I been reading? I just read some Black Panther, some Deadpool, getting prepared for the movie. Um, love, I mean, Batman is, a given. Love the Bat
Oh
fan.
yeah, of course,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah. All sorts of things though. Yeah. Swamp Thing. I love Swamp Thing.
Yeah, yeah. That was always one of mine too. I love that series.
He's a cool character. Yeah.
And is there anything coming up for you that you want to plug? Like anything you're working on, anything new?
Yeah. Um, I will be in Our American Tragedy starting on June 8th in Los Angeles. We have 5 shows. I will have Daddy's Day on June 16th. That is going to be at the Offbeat in LA. And then on the 24th, I have another show at the Offbeat that we haven't quite announced yet, but I will be there on the 24th as well. And then in July, I'm going to be in a couple shows for a New Works festival called The Greenhouse. And yeah, I've got a new album coming out sometime this year. Yeah, so that's what I'm working on.
Sweet. And where can fans follow you at?
Sure. People can find me on Instagram at Curse of Carlos. That is my only account. And then on YouTube, I'm also Curse of Carlos. On Spotify, Apple Music, you can find me as Curse, Curse, all capitals. And I'm not on Twitter. I hate Twitter. Um, but yeah, that's where you can find me.
Okay. So find you on all platforms except Twitter X.
Yeah, we hate Twitter.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and taking time out. I appreciate it and happy Pride Month.
Of course, happy Pride. I'm so grateful that I got to just talk about all the things I love.
Awesome, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you
We'll,
so
we'll
much.
have a really great weekend, bud.
Thank you. You too.
Okay.